Thank you, Lord, again for your love towards us and for the blessings, dear Lord, of giving us life and health and strength. And may you bless this short seminar. This is our prayer in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. So we're looking at weight loss and digestion. Weight loss and digestion. And this is important in the day we're living in because of the various problems that people have with digestion. So the aim of our presentation is how to naturally improve your absorption, assimilation, and elimination. And with that, you'll be able to have the best function. Our biblical wisdom for the day is in Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 17. Ecclesiastes chapter 10, verse 17. And it says, "Blessed art thou, O land, when thy king is the son of nobles, and thy princes eat in due season, for strength and not for drunkenness." For strength and not for drunkenness. Reasons for covering digestion. Many emergent medical research is demonstrating a link between inadequate digestion and numerous illnesses. And these illnesses range from allergies, headache, and joint pains to depression, poor memory, fatigue, and much more other problems. So again, when we have in the best digestion, assimilation, absorption, and elimination, we'll find that we'll be able to overcome many health problems. And most of the health problems start with what we're eating and how we're absorbing it and how we're eliminating it. Now, I'll start firstly with a recipe. I want to start with a recipe. And the reason I chose this recipe, I'll explain a little bit more, is I chose to make mac and cheese. And I'm using the pimento cheese sauce to make this recipe. And this recipe is important because, as we know, cheese is primarily fat. And when it comes on to digestion, when it comes on to absorption and elimination, we find that fat is always a problem. Also, talking about digestion, also talking about weight loss, we find that with weight loss, fat does not convert to any basic sugar. When you take a lot of fat inside of your system, it stays fat, it goes inside the system and it stores as fat. And so you want to be able to have substitute for food that are high fat. So most naturally, instead of if you're going to have to do something like where there's frying involved, it's better to just do a pan fry than to do a deep fry. If you're going to have foods that are, if you like cheese and the taste of cheese, it's best to find some healthy vegan, vegetarian substitute for cheese that will have lower amount of fat, and hence you'll be able to still enjoy the taste of cheese, but not have the excess load of the fat that, as I say, goes inside the body, and what the body doesn't use, the body stores. And so this will help in the way. So the pimento sauce, as I say, is a sauce that tastes similar to the American cheese. You know, American cheese, the cheese that most people love, is the primary cheese that you'll have in a mac and cheese. And so basically it's made with cashews, alright? So just a healthy dose of cashew. Cashew is very good for the brain. The fat in the cashew will make your brain work much better. And so you will be able to have problems. It will be posted online, okay, on the video. So most of the time when this is lemon juice, so I put some lemon juice and I put some pimento. Now pimento is the roasted red bell pepper, and basically it's very high in a lot of phytonutrients, and you'll see the color give a rich, deep, rich color. Some garlic, and what it is that when I make this recipe, I normally make it from my head. I just estimate what I'm putting in there. But the recipe is posted, you can get the exact measurement as to how to make it.
Is that a garlic powder?
Yeah, that's garlic powder and onion powder.
You cannot use a fresh one?
You could use a fresh one. As a matter of fact, this recipe, if you substituted, the garlic would be difficult to deal with. So you can substitute that with some salt, some sea salt, some yeast flakes, and then some sesame seed. You could substitute the fresh garlic with onions, but sometimes onion has, you know, it has to be baked properly. So always remember that after you put it in the oven, you have to give it a full time baking. So probably it's about 45 minutes to an hour to make sure it's baked, because then, you know, with onion you can have that taste that it's too harsh. It's a harsh taste if it's not fully baked. So you could use a fresh onion, but also this recipe is great for if you want to do just total raw. You can make this as a raw sauce, like as a dip that is not cooked at all. The only thing you have to substitute out is take out the onion powder and the garlic powder, and then use red onions instead of onion powder. This is yeast flakes.
Okay.
A lot of yeast flakes. This will make it give it the cheesy taste. You know, cheese tastes like spoil, something spoil. And so you want to put this sesame seed, add more richness to it. And then we'll blend this. And sometimes, depending on the amount of pasta that I'm using, the pasta, I'll increase the amount of water. I can decrease or increase the amount of it. A little extra oil to make it a little bit smoother. But you don't have to make it with any oil.
Okay. If you do the dip sauce, do you make it with oil?
No, you don't have to. This can be made just as it is.
What kind of oil you use?
Olive oil. So I use some olive oil. Especially if you're going to use olive oil, then you want to make it not whatever. But like say for instance, if I'm doing here, and there's people who regularly use the mac and cheese, it still need a certain type of richness. If you're trying to eliminate the oil, as I say, for weight loss, then you don't put any oil in it at all. So I'm going to blend it without the oil. But I don't have to make it with the oil.
Let's see how the sauce is if you wanted to use it as a dip right now.
You want to taste it?
No, just to look at the consistency. Is
Oh, no,
it
it's-
very liquid? Or
Oh, it's
is it,
perfect. It's probably a little too liquid.
Okay, so it could be a little
Less
bit
water.
less water.
We make it like this, it's raw, and it's perfect for like as a dip. As I said, all you do have to do is eliminate the garlic powder, put some onion, red onion in there, blend it, and it's a raw sauce.
How would you substitute the pimento if that's roasted?
Oh, the pimento is roasted. You do the same thing. You just use the fresh.
The regular
Red pepper.
So
You're gonna get more fresh taste. It's not gonna have that deep taste because the roasting carries out the flavor more. So you're not gonna get as much flavor.
If you do like orange or yellow pepper, it gives it a
Different color.
different.
How long is the fridge life?
This I would say the most probably would be about 5 to 7 days. Raw, you're saying,
Yes.
not cooked. Probably about 5. 5.
Okay.
More smooth. The you know, it's gonna have a smoother, richer, creamy taste. It is just a little oil. It makes it more emulsified. Now the oil is in there because of the cashew.
It almost looks like batter.
You know, the oil is in there because of the cashew, but you're just adding. It's just a richer, creamy, more smooth texture that you won't get without the extra thing. But as again, if you're making mac and cheese, you wanna make it. So I have some pasta here, some organic durum semolina pasta, and basically I'm just pouring it on, and I'll bake it for about 45 minutes. It could be less. It depends, you know, how much you want to bake it. It doesn't need much baking because everything is already ready to go. There's nothing in here that is need really to be cooked in a serious way, but to make it form and make it get your creaminess. And as I say, it's this now you will spatula. This you will end up having more.
Is that pasta boiled already?
It's already boiled, so yeah, it's already done. So yeah, the pasta, you know, boiled the pasta earlier. So you know, so half an hour or so this will be ready. It's not going to take long. The moment it's set, and so you can get the creaminess and the cheese-like flavor and taste, then you're good. And if you needed to do some little garnishing, what you do is just put some breading on top or panko, and you'll make it look beautiful. And so normally for me, it depends on how saucy you want it. I will leave light that up with an extra cup. I'll show it in a second. So I'll add an extra cup of water into the sauce to make more sauce, because this is a full Pyrex. This is a 9x13 Pyrex. So for about that, the recipe I put up online, I'll normally add an extra cup of salt. I mean, extra cup of water on it.
That's 1 pound of pasta.
Yeah, just one bag, 16-ounce bag. You know, boil. I don't know how much it's for the camera, not for it.
I'm gonna put a camera.
And for the, it's just nice.
It looks
It's,
like,
it's,
yeah.
it's saucy, but not too much. All right, so then I'll bake this for half an hour. Just tilt it a little so you can see. Perfect. All right, and then so we'll bake this for about half an hour to 45 minutes. We'll take it, just probably put it for 45 minutes. Keep it uncovered. No, don't keep it uncovered. You probably burn it. Yeah.
Oh, you cover it.
Okay.
You cover.
Yeah, cover it because I don't want to burn it. Probably for the last
How
10.
many degrees?
350. Look at some digestion notes, some things on digestion that are important. Now, the gastrointestinal tract is equivalent to the surface area of a tennis court when laid out flat. Take a third of the blood flow from the heart to function. So this is why when you're going into digestion mode, all the organs that are involved in digestion will take a larger pull of the blood flow, which will cause oftentimes sleepiness or feeling of tiredness. Eating refined grain like white flour can create vitamin B deficiency. So that's important for people to know, because many people talk about, well, if you try to eat a healthier diet, what would be the result of eating a healthy diet? You'll be deficient. You find that most people who have especially like a vitamin B12 diet are regular meat eaters. And also you find that eating foods that are highly processed will cause deficiency. And the reason why, because the body is, the stomach is supposed to be pulling nutrients in. And as it's trying to pull nutrients, what it's doing is losing nutrients. And so it has to compensate by pulling from stored nutrients, and this causes a deficiency in the body. And so it's important to know this, that says the more deficient, denatured food that you eat is the more it draws away nutrients and health from your body. Intestinal transit time should be about 24 to 30 hours from mouth to rectum. So when you're eating your regular diet, you should think about it that says the moment you put your food inside of your mouth, the food should come back outside. It should be expelled, or the waste should be expelled in about 24 to 30 hours. And so how you test this is that you take, a test is to take 5 to 6 capsules of activated charcoal. You take 5 to 6 capsules of activated charcoal, and you time how long it takes for it to come back out in your stool. And this should be 24, optimally should be 24 to 30 hours for the activated charcoal to be seen in the stool. Another way to do this is to test it by eating corn and try to swallow most of the corn whole. And you'll find that you can see the corn in your stool. And this is how you test your transit time. Because if the transit time is slow, that means your digestion is not optimal. If your digestion is not optimal, you're not eliminating properly, nor are you going to absorb properly. Hence, what will happen is that you will affect even your weight and also the health of your digestive tract. You find that the 80% of the lymph nodes in the body are located around the intestinal tract. So right around this area is where you find most of your lymph nodes, and this is where it is. So this is why there's always a very close connection with digestion and other health problems, especially your immune function. And so the first thing, if you feel like you're going to have a cold or a flu or whatever is going around, the first thing you want to do when you sort of feel like you're having the sniffles or you feel like you're going to have a sore throat, is the first thing to do is to take something to clean your colon out, to clean your bowel out, or to clean your whole digestive tract out. One of the first thing you want to do is get some charcoal again to absorb the toxin, and then use some herbs like senna or cascar sagrada to empty your bowel out. And you find that says when you're flushed out, you find your immune system will go back up because your body is able to handle the waste that is being produced in the body. Also, we find that populations who eat high fiber diet have a better incidence of rate of colon cancer. So population who eat high fiber diets have lower incidence of rates of colon cancer. I remember a few years back the CEO of McDonald's had died of colon cancer. And so the fact of the matter is that says, you know, the person might believe in their product, sell the product and eat the product, but they will destroy their colon. And the reason for that, because meat increase the transit time, the regular time for meat could be all the way up to 72 hours to get out of the system. So it's inside of there is causing all kind of problems in the colon, in the small intestine, and even in the stomach. And so for digestion, you want to increase fiber, because fiber will decrease your chances of having colon cancer. Some notes on the digestive system. This is how you know that you have a poor digestive system. These are indication that you have a poor digestive system. Poor bowel habits. You do not defecate on a daily basis. So that means you go a whole 24, 48 hours and never go to the bathroom. And if you do that, then that tells you have a poor bowel habit. You must be defecating at least once a day, and more optimally 2 to 3 times a day. Frequently see undigested food in your stool. If you're frequently seeing undigested food in your stool, that means that you're either eating too fast, you're not chewing your food, you're swallowing too fast, or some people say you're inhaling your food, or you're eating too much food that the body cannot break down because it overwhelms the system. It's undigested, it's passed through, it goes into the small intestine, and then onward, and then you're defecating and seeing now food that is whole. So food should be digested and totally broken down in your stool. Stool frequently smell foul. This is another indication that that you have a bad digestive system, because again, the longer the transit time is, the more the food is going to spoil or ferment inside of the system. You feel better if you don't eat. So if a person say, I feel better when I don't eat, that means the whole experience of eating and the digestion is a very miserable experience. So one want to consider changing their diet and look for some food that will have faster transit time and give a more pleasurable experience when you eat. Chronic indigestion after eating. That means you have a lot of problem with food repeating on you or coming up back as indigestion. And so you always find you eat a heavy meal and then the food's trying to get out, and the food sometimes want to get out, coming out this way. And so if this is the case, that means, again, we need to pay attention to some of the things that we're going to be talking about today. Frequently cold for no reason. So all of a sudden you have a problem in maintaining body temperature. Feel stressed, worn out, or depressed for no reason. So person feels stressed and worn out for no reason. And this can clearly seen. I've known you've seen many people that right underneath their eyes always look like they have a bag underneath their eyes. And this is because they have a problem with digestion. Even if they get 8 hours sleep, they still wake up and they're tired, and they look tired, they look worn because of their digestive problem. Frequently burp, passing gas, and or bloated abdomen. So if this is the case, then this is a digestion problem. Pulse increase over 20 to 25 beats within 15 minutes of eating. And so you can even just test this by just put your hand on your stomach after 15 minutes of eating. And you feel that there's a throbbing inside of this area. And you can feel that because the amount of energy and blood flow it needs to work to pull nutrients into digest is, you know that there's a lot of activity going on here. And so you know that something is wrong. You should not have such an increase in beat in your body or pulse rate, because your body now is going to war with the food, and the food sometimes win. Now, chronically coated tongues. Now, your tongue is always coated because your body produces its own bacteria, and also the body releases waste from the beginning of your digestion, which is at your mouth, until your rectum, and that's part of the flora. The whole system is always producing some type of waste or waste from the bacteria. And this is where we get some of our vitamins like B12. And so it's a natural process of the body, but when it's overly producing, then you know that something is wrong. And a good way, an easy way to see this is when you're doing like a juice fast. You notice the moment you start doing a juice fast or cleansing, the body will start to throw out so much that white coating on your tongue, and then start to coat your teeth, and so forth and so on. So you notice, but it shouldn't be chronically, you shouldn't be able to just always scrape it off, and it's coming off because the body now is trying to release all that waste. Some ideas that are some points to know that you have optimal digestive system. Your digestive tract is working well. And again, remember, all this is connected to weight loss and weight gain. Eliminate at least once a day eliminate once a day. So if you're eating 3 meals a day and eliminate once a day, you're still probably is behind. You need to increase that to at least twice a day. Do not see undigested food in your stool. Stool do not smell bad. Feel good after eating and several hours later. So even 3-4 hours later, you still feel good. You're not having this massive pulsing going on inside of your body because you've overeaten. Sleep well and wake up rested. As I say, it's easy to see. It doesn't matter if it's a child or if it's an adult. You can tell if the digestive system is not working well. Oftentimes have bags underneath the eyes and look very tired all the time. Extremities are usually warm and have a healthy pink coloring. So you can see this in the nail, especially because the digestive system is flowing. Energy level throughout the day, so you should not after lunch feel like you want to fall underneath your desk and sleep. You should want to be above the desk and feel energized. Do not have extreme food craving. So again, this extreme food craving can be caused by a simple thing. The way the body tells you that you're satisfied and you should stop eating is by the weight of the food in your stomach, the volume of the food in your stomach, and the amount of nutrients in your stomach. Now, if you eat food that are denatured, which is most food that are grown in a industrial kind of farming process, you'll find that after you finish eating this food, you will feel that your stomach is full, feel full because of the volume, but you feel like you need more food. An hour later, your body will be calling for more food, and this is where some of the problems with overeating happens, where people are eating food but there's no nutrients in the food and the body's calling for more. So they have volume and they have weight but they have no nutrients. So what we want to flip that, we want to increase food in your system that gives you bulking, the volume, high fiber, but also give you the weight, because again, the more water in there and the more heavy the food is the more the body going to say, okay, it's satisfied, but also more nutrients. And they find that the more nutrients is, the body will say, stop, I have had enough. This is why it's impossible for a person to overeat on fruits. Can't overeat on fruits because fruits are very heavy, they're very bulking, and also they're very high nutrients. So a person can't overeat on fruits, but you can overeat on fried food, deep fried food, because they have volume most of the time, they have weight, but they have no nutrients, and the body keeps telling you more. So if you eat and you do not feel like an extreme reason where you want to just eat more, then I tell you that you're having a good digestive system. Your energy level throughout the day, do not have extreme food craving, do not have sudden and extreme bouts of shakiness, anxiety, depression, anger for no reason. They always say a hungry man is a what? Is an angry man, right? So we know that says this happened. I've experienced this myself, where I've gone through all of those experiences that's listed here, because what happened, you're eating so much fried food, so much processed high sugar, white sugar food, white flour, white rice, and you eat, but your system can't maintain proper blood sugar level, because why? You're getting spikes of sugar and then drops. You're getting oils, and the oils get inside of your system, clog your system up, so you can't remain healthy. And so again, you find that if you have not this experience, you have a good digestive system and you have a good diet. You feel better after exercising, not exhausted. So when you exercise, you should be able to exercise, have a strenuous experience, but shouldn't fall on your face after you finish. That means you have a proper digestive system. Now again, we had made the pimento cheese sauce, and I say I will talk about a little bit why I choose to make this to help the diet, because to help you with your digestive system and also with your diet. When you think about food, you think about that you're going to get your carbs, your protein, and your fat. But as I say, fat, carbs and protein, they'll go inside the system and they'll store. But fat will go inside the system and store, but they'll store and you start seeing it faster. High calorie foods, anything that high calorie food like alcohol and so forth. But when it comes on to cheese is primarily fat. 50 to about 80% of it is fat and saturated fat. And so when you eat it, you'll find that you'll have a bulking experience because the body will just start storing. So you always want to look for a good healthy cheese substitute that has low fat, and this is what we just made. Now here I'm going to read a statement from Dr. Furman, who states that cheese is the food that contributes the most saturated fat to the American diet. and is one of the most dangerous food in the world to consume. And I'll read a second statement from Ellen G. White that was written in 1905. Now, Dr. Furman said this in 2005. Ellen G. White said in 1905 that butter is less harmful when eaten on cold bread than when used in cooking. But as a rule, it is better to dispense with it altogether. Cheese is still more objectionable. It is wholly unfit for food. So cheese, 100 years ago, over 100 years ago, she was saying cheese is unfit for food. And the reason why, if you look at the nutritional breakdown of cheese when it comes on to fat comparison, if you look at cream cheese is 89% of all its calories is fat. 89% of all the calories is fat. So when people talk about counting calorie, the moment you take up a piece of cream cheese, you put it in your mouth, you're just primarily eating fat. That fat is going to be stored in your system. And it's 63% saturated fat. I'll take two more examples here. Kraft Velveeta is 65% of its calories is coming from fat, and 66% of it is saturated fat. 66% percentage of it is saturated fat. And ricotta whole milk is 68% of all its calories is from fat, and 64% of the percentage of it is saturated fat. So we see here, if you're partaking of a lot of food that is high fat, especially animal fat, you'll find that that animal fat is more than your body needs, and you will store that fat on your system. So you want to have a diet that reduces fat, especially free-flowing fat, and you'll find that your system will be much healthier. Here I have on the board a second example for nutritional analysis before I go into one more recipe, and it's kale. I'll just go over some quick information about kale because you want to include in your diet a lot of green leafy vegetables. And kale is also a very good source of calcium. Calcium is one of the nutrients needed to make healthy bones. And dairy products are a heavy promoted source of this nutrient. But unlike dairy products, kale is not a highly allergenic food, nor does it contain any saturated fat. Plus, a cup of kale supply about 93.6 mg of calcium, which is 9.4% of your daily need. So, why choose kale here? Because kale is represented mostly what you call your green leafy vegetables. All your green leafy vegetables will give you a high amount of calcium. Now notice that we're seeing a thing that is very clear. The countries that have people who are high eaters of dairy products, they're the countries that have the highest problem with bone density. Because the fat, the dairy is the thing that leaches the calcium out of the bone, because in order for the body to digest and to assimilate the dairy, what it has to do is have to pull all the calcium out of the bones. So you find that you'll see a person who is a high, heavy amount of dairy, and they are large, but when they do a bone density test on them, their bone is very thin. It's not very dense and compact. It's not dense at all. And the reason for that, because they're eating so much dairy and it's pulling so much calcium out of their bone. It's leaching the calcium out of the bone to break down the dairy product. And so we find here that in contrast, a cup of 2% cow's milk provide about 296 mg of calcium, but the cost is high. 121 calories, 14% of your daily suggested limit of saturated fat. So similar, you can get more nutrients, you can get good nutrients of calcium out of just some leafy vegetables. Because people always wonder, where does vegetarians get nutrients from? And the question simply is answered, where does the gorilla or where does the cow get its nutrients from? You get it from grass. So in the greens, there's the nutrients, and the nutrients will keep you healthy. Also, kale adds to mental performance because it declines as you get older. But the result of a Chicago Health Aging Project suggested that eating just 3 servings of green leafy, yellow or cruciferous vegetables each day could slow this decline by 40%, suggested a study of the Journal of Neurology. And so you want to be able to eat a lot of green leafy vegetables. So I'm going to cook some in a little bit, but first I'm going to juice some carrots, apples. These apples were picked fresh from a farm down the road, and some ginger. And you'll find in this juicing, you'll find that you're going to get something that's very important. What we find that is adding a lot to people's caloric intake that is converted, this caloric intake is converted into fat also, is juices that are high in sugars. High sugar juices, because sugar is going to go into the system and it's going to be stored again. And so you want to be able to have some fresh juice. Now you find with this fresh juice that is not denatured because it's not cooked. And you get most of you get the good nutrients from here. Your body will feel satisfied with nutrients so that you're not always feeling hungry. Because most of what people are looking at as hunger, most of it is their body's calling for nutrients. And so you don't put nutrients in your system. So we want to put these nutrients by juicing some good fruits here and tubers. This on our beautiful juicer donated to the church. Some carrots. So here we have the carrot, apple, and ginger juice, and I'll have everybody to be able to sample it. And again, you'll find that it will be high in nutrients. Your body won't be craving for nutrients. Your body will be satisfied with nutrients and won't be calling always feel extremely hungry. And so this is why we believe it's always good to have some fresh juice that are high in nutrients. Now, a person will ask, what if I can't juice all the time? Well, if you can't juice all the time, I still think it's best to buy juice that, even if it's juice that are already processed, that it be juice that are processed that are not from concentrate, but they're as whole as possibly can get. And this would be my secondary option. And if still you have a problem, then the best to do is, as you're going through the day and you're going to drink your water, you take your water, you put some lemon in your water, and then you add a little sweetener, probably like an agave syrup or something, to give some sweetness to the water so you can drink more water, but you're still having some citrus juice in your water. So again, very important that it's always important to have some high nutrients food in your diet and put very high nutrients food in your diet. And so we continue while you're sampling these things. It says factors that tax your immune system, because remember, your immune system is part of the whole process also with digestion, and is eating excessive amount of refined sugar on a daily basis will tax your immune system. Eating a high amount of refined sugar on a daily basis will tax your immune system. It will decrease your immune response and make you weaker. You don't want to be in that scenario. Eating refined oils on a daily basis will overtax your immune system. So you want to limit refined oils or free oil to about 2 tablespoons a day on a daily basis. 2 to 3 tablespoons the most you want to have of refined free oils. That means that there's oils that are, whether the food is fried in, salad dressings, whatever it is, to limit that a day. You'll find if you limit this a day, you'll find that your digestive tract will work better and you'll have less problem with weight problem. Eating the same food over and over again will cause you to have a bad immune response, and it will overtax your immune system. Variety is the spice of life. If you notice that as you're going through your day, you find, as you're going through the year, you find that there's different seasons, and with each season comes different type of foods that are being produced. And so as you experience each season, you find that each season you have new foods that come into existence, or no food that is being ripened. You eat those fruits, and you'll find that you will have less allergic reaction. Why I'm laughing is because the ginger is making everybody nice and happy. So I'll taste it to find out what's all the excitement.
I love it.
Oh yeah, this is good. This is like a little carrot ginger beer going on here. And then you need it hotter?
Wow, I think a little bit cooler would be nice.
Seconds?
So eating foods that you're allergic to. So you must know what foods you're allergic to. And whatever foods you're allergic to, you want to avoid eating those foods. because those foods will cause problem. Now, the ginger is hot, but remember that ginger, all this heat you're feeling, are good nutrients that will give your body good circulation and good health. So you want to be eating those ginger. Other things to boost your immune, to boost your digestive tract, is to consider that you have flora inside of you, and so to always eat stuff that's going to increase your flora or your bacteria. Bifidobacteria and L. acidophilus appears to work together to protect against the growth of harmful organisms, enhance liver metabolism, and produce vitamins, B vitamins. A source to increase your bifidobacteria is FOS. FOS stands for fructo-oligosaccharides, large vegetable fibers, and their complex sugars. So they're large vegetable fiber and complex sugars. It is a food for organisms to live on and encourage the growth of bifidobacteria while restricting the growth of potential pathogens. FOS is concentrated in garlic, onion, asparagus, artichokes, and chicory root. You have a question?
What about when they say that to have like the yogurt that is good culture bacteria for your stomach?
For your stomach. Well, as I say, unless most of the time when that comes into serious play is when you're like you took some antibiotics or something that could wipe out some of your flora, that killed some of the good bacteria, and so then normally you need to put some culture back inside of your system, and so that would be it. Or if you have a diet that is high in like meat products and so forth, that you always find that because of vomiting or whatever, diarrhea or something like that, you're stripping out your intestinal lining, and you have bad digestion, then sometimes it's good to put some flora back in. But on a general basis, it's good to eat foods that are going to feed the bacteria. The bacteria is going to feed off and live on. And so if you eat more of that food, you'll find that you'll have good flora, good intestinal flora. The best thing to do is just to feed the bacteria that you already have. But that's more coming to place where somebody's eating a diet that is not good in anything for it to grow on. Now the question is, where does the cow get its B12 from? It's getting it from the regular process of eating grass and eating things that are exposed to natural processes. You find that you won't have that experience when you're eating food that everything is already either zapped by some type of microwave process or some type of process that kill all the bacteria, or food that is highly pesticide, food that is highly fungicide, food that is always pasteurized. When you're eating more natural foods, you're going to find you're going to come into contact with bacteria and stuff like that, and you're going to have natural flora anyhow. So it depends on the diet, I would say. So a person that's eating a very highly processed diet will probably come, everything is dead. Nothing is ever alive or growing or having a life in it. So you'll find that you'll need some type of supplement. But again, for people eating live food, the flora would be normally very good, unless they had some contact with some type of antibiotics or something. And so, just to repeat again, garlic, onion, asparagus, artichokes, and chicory will help grow your flora, your intestinal flora, and give you good intestinal flora so you can have a good digestive system. It is estimated that the flora inside of our digestive tract is about 2 pounds. So 2 pounds is a lot of flora. So it will keep things moving along smoothly. If you kill all this flora, then you're going to have all kind of problems with constipations and so forth. And then then vitamin problems, because some of the flora produces vitamins and nutrients. So I'm going to cook one more thing here before I go into the last of slides, especially focusing on digestion and also weight loss. Kale, as you know, kale, green leafy vegetable, beautiful, but also has a lot of nutrients, as I covered earlier. And I wanted to prepare that to have as a side with the mac and cheese. And this could be collard greens also, or it could be Swiss chard. And I'm just cooking it very simple. All I'm doing is I'm adding some salt to it, just to give it a nice taste and to bring the flavors out. I don't know if that's too much. And then some yeast flakes again, or if you don't want to put any yeast flakes in it, then you could put you could have some onion powder or some onions in there, and not much. And then I'm just putting some coconut milk, so this you're getting more close to nature as possible, with all the fats but all in place, intact, not a free free oil, free fat. And I'm just going to steam this for a few minutes. And as it's steamed, it just steaming it so that it opens up all the hard cellulose type fibrous compartments that has the nutrients, so you can get the nutrients out of it. And basically, we'll steam it for a few minutes, and it'll be great to go as a side with your mac and cheese. And I have some tofu already prepared to go along. So while this is steaming, I'll go through some more information that is very important and critical to good digestion and good weight. Eat your latest meal no later than 7 p.m. or at least 4 to 5 hours before bedtime. I put this as the first principle when it comes on to digestive health, and also when it comes on to weight loss. The reason why this is so important, and if no other principle was followed, this only was the one principle followed, you'll find that weight problem would not be a problem, or would be very much decreased. And the reason is that it's going to take about 4 to 5 hours, normally about 4 hours for your body to digest a meal. And so if you're going to bed at 10 o'clock, you would need to be eating your latest meal by 6 o'clock, sorry. And more appropriately, by 5 o'clock. And so you'll find that if the meal, this is now a meal that has no meat in it. I'm talking about just a meal that is just all plant-based. Take about 4 hours. It could take longer for a meal that has heavy amount of animal products, and especially something like vinegar and starch. The combination of vinegar and starch don't work well, and this is why most people with Italian dishes always have indigestion, because the two of them don't go together well. So always try to substitute out your vinegar with some lemon. And so eating at least 4 to 5 hours before bedtime. Again, if you're going to bed at 9 o'clock, you would need to be eating your last meal at 5 o'clock, finishing at 5, because you could start a meal at 4 o'clock and still finishing at 5:30, especially if you're having a nice conversation over that meal. And by the time you finish the conversation, the meal is cold and you still eat it. So you want to be able to eat this way. Now, as I say, out of all the principles that I'll go over, I put this as number 1 because this is the biggest principle. You'll find that the moment a person starts practicing this principle, you'll find that it is easier for them to maintain weight and also good digestion. Now, why is it good for digestion? Is that if I eat my meal at say 8 o'clock and I'm going to bed at 10, and it's going to take 2 hours for my meal to digest, the extra 2 hours is going to be food is going to be trying to digest when I am sleeping. Hence, I'm not going to get a very restful sleep. I'm going to wake up tired the next day, and also I'm going to overwork the digestive system, and then I'm going to be so tired, and then most of that food is going to spoil because it didn't finish digest, and it's going to be added on as fat or waste on my body. And so, number 1 principle, as I say, I don't know how to overemphasize, is that it is. I don't see it's possible for a person to maintain good healthy weight while ignoring this 1 principle. Then next here on the board is eat your heaviest meal at breakfast or lunch. So eat your heaviest meal at breakfast and lunch. The even meal should be a meal to prepare to go to bed. Now when you wake up in the morning, you have more energy, and you wake up to break the fast because you were fasting all night. Then you're going to break the fast. You need to break the fast with a meal. And so most people at this time, they just probably get a cup of coffee, and that's how they break their fast. And this send them into a period of time that by the time they reach midday or lunchtime, now they really need to be eating. And the body now is losing its energy store, and it's getting weaker and weaker and weaker. And now they're going to overload the body. So what the body could do in the day, in the morning or in the midday when it's famished, it cannot do in the evening. And so you want to eat your heaviest meal early. And I've shared this principle with a lot of people who have hit walls trying to do all kind of different programs to lose weight, and find that these 2 first principles here will automatically make them start to lose weight just by eliminating the heavy meal in the evening. And especially if you're going to have something like fruits, a smoothie, or something very light, a salad or something. Just anything light that will take about 2 to 3 hours to digest. Because you'll find something like a smoothie will take the most, probably about 3 hours to digest. So if you take it at 7 by 10 o'clock, it's digested out of your system. Eliminate as much processed oils and hydrogenated oil as possible from your diet. So as much as possible from your diet, eliminate processed oil. So if you can do something like using coconut oil, use the coconut oil. If you can use olive, what would I say? No, not olive oil, but the olives itself. If you can use avocado, add extra avocado, you know, to your meal. And when you do this, you'll find that you didn't have any extra left over.
There you go.
Yeah, I could take it now. So here, as I'm cooking the coconut, I put the coconut there because the coconut will substitute for the free oil. But also what the coconut will give good flavor, so you can have more green leafy vegetables, because most people don't like green leafy vegetables. It make them, the bitter taste is not pleasant to them. So by just adding something that will make it taste pleasant, then this will be good for them. I probably won't use all of it. I'll probably just stop there. Alright. So just adding here the coconut oil, and something you can put some turmeric to make the vegetable, the green leafy vegetables taste nicer. This will increase more, you'll eat it more. Also, oils go rancid if not preserved, which will irritate your intestinal lining. So you know this, most of the time they sell people a supplement for omega-3 is some fish oil, cod liver fish oil, and so this. Normally, if you break the capsule or you break the package, the soft thing that is in it smell rancid, spoiled oil. Spoiled oils irritate your intestinal lining. So you want to avoid as much as possible, not avoid 100% eating anything spoiled. So spoiled oil is something you want to avoid with all your heart. Just avoid any spoiled oil. Also, what you want to do is and this is also the issue when it comes on to fat. Many people wonder what happens when they have too much excess fat on their body. The further the fat is out from the body, is the more that the fat goes spoiled. And as the fat goes spoiled, it creates waste inside of the system the body have to handle. So, because remember, this is stored, but it's stored in a warm body. And eat an oil will make oil go rancid fast. So the oil will go rancid fast, and this will create more waste in the body. And this is where now that waste is created in the body now has more work to do to release that waste from the body. So the less fat you have in the system, because all our bodies store fat, but you want to be able to store as little as possible, just enough that what you need, because that store of fat will go bad just like it will go bad in your shelf. So just keep that in mind as a side note here. And it says alternate the oils you use and use only fresh oils, as I said before. So alternate the oils. You know, don't just use always olive oil. Don't just use always whatever oil. Just switch around the oil. Stay away from things like corn oil and stuff like that. Chemicals such as pesticide are stored in fat, so try to buy organic oils. So if you can, buy organic oils, because remember, oil store fat. Now there's a principle in the Bible that talks about don't eat fat. And the Lord knew why He told the children of Israel back in the past not to eat fat, because fat is where fat holds pesticide and insecticide. And CDC always put out a warning, and it says to avoid eating fish. And one of the things you want to avoid eating the fish is the skin of the fish, and avoid eating fats from animals. And the reason why is that as the cow goes around and he eats the grass, any pesticide runoff or residue or insecticide that runs off, he gets to eat the grass and he eats it. And then as he eats it, it comes inside of his system, and then the body stores it into the fat store. Now as it's stored into the fat store, what it is now, the body is filled with all the pesticides. So if you go now and eat the fat of the animal, what you're doing, you're eating the stored pesticide. But where you're going to store that pesticide, you're going to store that pesticide the same place that the cow stored the pesticide, which would be in the fat, the tissue. So again, this is why it's important. If a person says, I must eat meat, which I don't believe it's a must, it's a choice, is that you want to be able to cut off all the fat off the meat, cut off all the skin off the meat, because the skin is a protective layer that is going to take the first hit. So you want to cut all of that out so that you remove all the chemicals, the toxic chemicals like pesticide, insecticide. Cut all of that and get rid of that. Don't eat that, because that's where most of that is stored. And so this goes for fat in plants, and also fats in any type of animal, and also in your body. You want to burn that fat off and get rid of the fat, because the fat goes rancid, but also store pesticides and other kind of chemicals in your body. Keep your body hydrated. Remember, for digestion you need flow, but also you need to be able to have good digestion and good flow when it comes on to like exercise and releasing toxins out of your body. Eat 2 or 3 meals daily, no snacking. So many people say, well, I don't eat big meals. But what happened? They graze. And cows are made to graze, but we're not made to graze. And so you want to be able to eat 2 meals, either 1 large meal in the morning and 1 large meal in the late afternoon. Or you eat 3 meals a day, 1 large meal in the morning, a medium meal in the midday, and then a very light meal in the late afternoon, early evening. And you want to do this because by doing this again, it's another big principle that if followed, you'll find that your body will not be packing on, and it won't affect your digestive tract, number one, because your digestive tract is not going to be working and overworking. You eat a meal, and as you eat that meal, your body gets to digest it. After digesting it, you eat another meal, allow the body to digest it. But when you snack, what it is, you make the body doesn't get to go through the full process. You stop the process, and as the process is stopped, then the process has to start back over again for the next meal. And so you want to consider this, and consider this well, as a very important principle for weight loss or for digestive health. And think about most people who say they have any type of irritable bowel syndromes or any type of syndrome. The same principle will follow for them, because the reason is that not only are they eating foods that they're allergic to, but they're overeating those foods, and their body, the stomach or the digestive tract never get time to rest. If you're going to snack, consider fruits. So if you say I must snack, I like to eat in between meals. I like to eat, if I eat at 7 o'clock, I want to eat again at 9 o'clock, and after 9 o'clock I eat at 12. The person says I must do this. I don't believe this is the right thing to do, because you're abusing the system. But if you're going to snack, consider fruit, and only fruits. That means get some grapes, eat the grapes. If you're going to eat after 7, 8 o'clock in the evening, consider again fruits. Some grapes, some apples, some orange, something. Get some juice, drink the juice. A banana, take a banana, eat a banana. If it's 10 o'clock at night, you think you must eat, and you must go raid the fridge. Bananas are not stored in the fridge, but if you're going to must raid the kitchen, raid where the fruits are at. Go for the banana, go for the apple. And you'll find that it will fill you up, because you can't eat more than 3 or 4 apples anyhow, or more than 6 bananas at one sitting. And I've tried that, and that's about the maximum. 6 bananas, your body shut down, you can't go no further. You could probably go to 8, but it depends on your capacity. And so if you're gonna eat late in the evening, go for 6 bananas and tell me about it. You want me to give you my email? So investigate food allergies and sugar intolerance. Main triggers are cow's milk, wheat, egg, corn, beef, and soy. So if you have any type of digestive problem, whether it be, as I say, any type of Crohn's disease, irritable bowel, any type of problem with that, always go for food allergies. There's something that's triggering it. And it's always a protein in one of these sources. As I say, it's a protein, the casein in the milk, is the gluten in the wheat, is the eggs, the corn, the beef, the soy. So always go for that, because there's something that is irritating the intestinal lining. And you'll find that it's not going to be it's going to be anything to do with fruits, vegetables, or anything like any whole food. And if it is, then there could be something in it, like some pesticide or something you're allergic to. If I eat grapes that are regular grapes, I get sick. If I eat organic grapes, nothing wrong. It doesn't cause me a cold or anything like that. So there's something in the food that's causing you to get allergic if it's like a fruit. But when it comes on to protein, consider this as a basic aid. More health principles, and so our kale is finished and looking nice and green still. It's still going to be a little bit crunchy, because, as I say, we're not cooking it until it's totally flat. Still want to leave some nutrients in it. We just want to open up the cell walls so you can get the nutrients out of it. And so some more principles to go over that are important for good digestion and also good weight management. Exercise is important for the whole body. A special exercise that can be done is called the Kegel exercise, which is to tense the muscle between the anus and the reproductive organ. And by doing this, you exercise that area that's normally not exercised. This is important when a person has hemorrhoids. So if a person has hemorrhoids because they're constipated and they have to be under strain for going to defecate, then what will happen is that they want to practice strengthening this muscle. And this is just basically tense, probably 10 times, tense for a few seconds, hold and release, Tense, hold and release, or then tense for a few minutes and then hold and release. This is, as I said, it's very important for people who have strain, and this could cause, that strain could cause any type of hemorrhoid. So try to do that Kegel exercise. Increase outdoor activities. Also is very important. Outdoor activities, not just is important for the mind, but it's also important for the digestive tract. So eat in an enjoyable, relaxing atmosphere is another principle. Most of the time people are eating in a not so relaxing atmosphere. They're eating in a rush. And so you want to eat in a more relaxing atmosphere. Stop all other activities and pay attention to eating your meal. So it's good to actually stop the activities you're doing and pay attention to what you're eating and that you're eating, and enjoy the food. Chew your food mindfully, at least 20 times per mouthful. And if you really try this, if you put a spoonful or a forkful of food in your mouth, you're going to find that probably you could be even there chewing for 30, 35 times to really chew the food. Avoid drinking while eating your meal, especially cold drink, or do not eat melons after a meal or melon after a meal. Now, melon is similar to drinking water, and so you want to be able to avoid drinking with the meal or after the meal. And the reason why is that your body digests at optimal temperature, and your body needs the acid needs to get to the food to break the food down. So what you do after the body is put the acid inside of the digestive tract or the stomach. You're going to drink the water or something cold. The cold thing is going to drop the temperature of the body or the temperature of the intestine, the digestive area. And now the body has to work to warm that area up. So the body now has to take the temperature back up, and then the body has to put more acid out to be able to get the food to digest. So it causes a problem in the whole digestive system. So you want to avoid eating your meal and having a cold drink at the avoid drinking while and then having a cold drink also. So not just, that you could have, this would apply also to warm drink, but especially to cold drink. And then also you do not want to eat a melon, because a melon is primarily water. And if you ever juice a melon, you're not getting much fiber, it's just water. And so what that's going to do is that's going to cause a lot of fermentation, a lot of undigested food in your digestive tract. So pay attention closer to this. This will increase your rate of digestion. Do not overeat at any meal. So it doesn't matter what meal it is, even if it's if it's a meal for your Thanksgiving. Just don't overeat at it. If you make up your mind that you will not overeat at Thanksgiving, you will never overeat. Is that true? Wait 10 minutes after finishing your first plate to take another plate. So wait about 10 minutes, because it takes the body a while to catch up to what you're doing. So the body, you put the food in, and so say you take the last chew and swallow, the food is still working its way down. So you shouldn't take the last chew, swallow, and then go get another plate of food. Just wait a little bit, talk a little bit, think about it a little bit, and then after that, then go get the next plate. All right? And if 10 minutes pass and you feel like you're satisfied, then you're satisfied. If you don't feel satisfied, then go get some more. But get and think to the fact that you already ate a whole plate. Don't get another whole plate. Here we have make your diet whole to aid digestion and flow. Make it whole. So what we mean by that is whole grains, the whole food. As I say, if you can use avocado, then avoid avocado oil. If you can use olive, then avoid olive oil. Insoluble fiber holds less water. Insoluble fiber hold less water, and these fibers are whole wheat, whole grain, vegetables, and most brands increase transit time. So it holds more water, so they're going to be heavier. So they absorb more water, they fill up with more water, they get heavier, and they increase transit time. So if you want to speed up your transit time from when you started eating to when it's flushed out, you want to increase more whole grains in your diet. Soluble fiber, on the other hand, like psyllium, legumes, beans, and oats, increase friendly bacteria. Can you tell when you eat beans that they increase friendly bacteria? Decrease unfriendly bacteria, increase healthy cells in the lower colon. Again, so it's going to create more vibrant experience in your digestive tract. And you can experience that when you eat a lot of beans. And so insoluble fibers are like psyllium and so forth. they as I say, they get to have stuff growing on them, and you're going to be able to get a good flora. So if you combine both these things in your diet, you'll have fast transit time and good healthy experience in when you sit down to read. Basic natural aids: do a parasite treatment every year, especially if you eat animal products. So if you eat animal products, I would say do a parasite treatment. Take herbs like black walnut, wormwood, very different herb, because these are going to increase the parasite in your system. So just go right in ahead and just assume that you're filled with parasites, and just go get a cleanse every year of some parasite. Remove the parasites out of your system. This will increase your digestive health. Try eating no more than 3 food items per meal. So try eating no more than 3 food items per meal. So if you sit at a plate, you look at some salad, some carbs, and some protein, 3 items per meal. And this is something similar to what we did today. Some carbs and some green leafy vegetables, and then some protein. Eliminate colas, alcohol, caffeine, and commercial fruit juice from your diet. This will increase the amount of calories. This will increase the amount of storage on your body. And so also they affect your digestive system in a terrible way. So alcohol will do this in a terrible way. Caffeine will do it in a terrible way. And commercial fruit juice, as I say, if you can try some fresh fruit juice, try it as much as possible. And if not, then just simply drink water. And if you must, as I say, try to drink fruit juice that are not from concentrate. Try papaya enzymes. These are some natural remedies you could use. Activated charcoal. Activated charcoal, even if you're having any type of irritation in your bowel or digestive tract, activated charcoal will absorb many of the toxins and will calm the situation down. There's a supplement called, this is the DGL, which is it's a supplement from licorice, and it's an extract that is good for ulcer. So if you have ulcer, any type of irritation, try the DGL of licorice, and or vegan yogurt to try to restore some of the bacteria in your system, or any type of supplement that is kind of acidophilus or bifidobacteria type of supplement. Lemon and water upon rising and before bedtime. So get a cup of water or 2 cups of water first thing in the morning, and squeeze a half a lemon or a whole lemon inside of it. And as you do this, you drink this, and it will give your stomach a nice antiseptic cleanse and into your system, and your stomach will feel nice and prepared for food. Avoid emotional stress. When you have an emotional stress or when you feel anxiety, you normally feel it in this section of your body, in your stomach. And so avoid this. This will cause problem with digestion, which will affect your body. Lastly, here we have is 2 herbal aids that are important. Garcinia cambogia keeps fatty acid from being stored as fat. Aids fat metabolism and reduce hunger. Garcinia cambogia has high content of hydroxycitrate, HCA. Preliminary research suggests that Garcinia inhibits the accumulation of lipid droplets in fat cells, and thereby reduce lipid levels and decrease lipid accumulation in the liver. The hydroxycitrate acid found in Garcinia is also theorized to improve exercise endurance by increasing lipid oxidation and decrease carbohydrate utilization. And why this would be important, because again, you have the fat stores in your body, the lipids, and so you want to be able to oxidize them or burn them off. And so when you exercise them, this will burn them off. This will help to increase this. Bladderwrack has iodine content, and it appears to raise metabolic level by increasing the production of hormone by the thyroid glands. Although this effect could be because of poorly functioning thyroid, in one clinical trial in Italy in 1976, patients taking Bladderwrack lost much more weight than the control group. This is from the Encyclopedia of Herbal Medicine. This was written, and it says here, Bladderwrack contains polyphenols and polysaccharides, which appears to have antiviral and anti-HIV activities. And before we close on this level, I wanted to point out herbal product that I have, which is called my weight loss product, and it has both of those ingredients in it. So again, this will help with the way you feel, so that you get a little feeling that you're a little bit more full. It will also help with your thyroid, and also help with your fat metabolism. Another point also I want to point that I have a colon tonic that also helps with getting the bentonite clay, the activated charcoal, and other things that are soluble or insoluble fiber to increase your transit time and also your experience, as I say, when you're reading. And lastly, I have also here energy formula to normalize your energy level and give you a nice energy feel without the use of any stimulants. We'll close again on the biblical wisdom. 3 John chapter 1 verse 2. Beloved, I wish above all things that thou mayest prosper and be in health, even as thy soul prospered. And so here we have 3 things that we've made. We've made the mac and cheese. The mac and cheese, again, is a good substitute for regular cheese, less oil, but healthy, tastes good. I prepared before some tofu, which is basically I saute pan-fried tofu. The tofu is lightly some coconut oil. Coconut oil is best to saute with, because coconut oil has a high heat. It handles heat well. Then I did some coconut milk and kale. The coconut milk and kale, again, you'll have good nutrients in it, and we didn't use any oil in it, but it'll be able to taste good. And so a very simple meal, cover all your bases, high nutrients. It will be filling. It would be bulk, a lot of bulk, and you'll be feeling satisfied and don't feel like you need to overeat. So again, I thank you for coming out to the seminar, and at this time we'll be able to partake of the seminar again. Thank you for joining.
Yay!